All right, we got a fun program this morning, a fun topic. Actually, this year is the 10-year anniversary of the UFO Park at the Covered Bridge in Sheffield when it became the UFO Park back in 2015. I remember that very vividly as we were there, as that kind of opened and the celebration took place. And now there's going to be a free community event on June 14th to celebrate the park's 10th anniversary. There's going to be celebrities, musicians, autographs, all sorts of fun. But with us today, we have a couple of guests. We're going to first start off with Rob Ball, who's a licensed photojournalist. He is the event organizer locally for the June 14th celebration, and also the co-park administrator as well. And Rob, great to have you on the phone with us, or have us this morning. We also have a phone guest, too.
Yeah, phone coming in. Thanks a lot, Jesse. I'm glad to be here. I've been to the Roswell Museum. I've interviewed, sitting councilwomen,
sure,
the whole deal. I've been all over the place. I've been all over the country doing professional photography work and cinematography for big-name celebrities, Travis Walton, Mike Barra.
And does a lot of that go back to the success of the social media and Google and all of those things where you have all the views?
On Facebook.
And, of course, we want to get to our other guest that's on the phone in just a couple of moments. But real quickly, Rob, of course, the UFO Park at the Covered Bridge in Sheffield, that 10-year anniversary event is coming up on June 14th. Tell us what the day is going to what's going to be made up, what it's going to involve.
Well, basically, what's going to be involved, there's going to be celebrities down there, Thom Reed, Mike Barra, Jimmy Bell, and BJ Zampa, which I believe is our guest.
Yes,
yep. And there's going to be food. Everything's going to be free. I want to say that. There's no charge to come in.
In Sheffield at the UFO Park, June 14th. The festivities get underway at about 3, and it is the 10th anniversary since the park opened under the UFO. This morning, BJ, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Doing pretty well. So we're speaking with BJ Zampa. He is the drummer from Dokken, as a matter of fact, and BJ is going to be at the Covered Bridge in Sheffield for the UFO Park for the 10th anniversary. And BJ, great to have you on there. And now just curious, in terms of the Dokken stuff, your history with them goes back, to like 2008, something like that, or even further back?
Yeah, 2008. The original drummer, Mick Brown, he was off playing with Ted Nugent.
Okay, all right.
So they, we kind of knew each other from being in the scene. So they asked me to fill in, and so I went in, and then eventually in 2018, 19, Mick Brown, the original drummer, decided he was going to retire. So he asked me to come in and take over his job for him.
Awesome.
So that's what I did.
A funny story, because I was just a little kid in the 80s, but probably, I don't know, probably in the 90s at some time on VH1, I had fallen asleep and I woke up in the middle of the night, I don't know, like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I look up and I see Freddy Krueger on the screen, but it's the video for Dream Warriors, which I had never seen it before. And like a couple days later, I went out and I bought Back for the Attack. I just loved the song so much in the album. And
awesome.
then I bought the subsequent live album that came out, I think a year later. I think it was in '88 or something like that. And so that was kind of my introduction. Dream Warriors from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Yeah. But
sometimes on our shows, Freddy shows up. It's pretty cool.
That's gonna be funny.
People dress up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden there's the Freddy Krueger standing on the stage.
Well, maybe we can we'll get Thom Reed to see if he can twist Robert Englund's arm and get him here on June 14th. That'll be his next job.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So so cool. So you have quite kind of a history. You kind of met Thom back in the 80s at some point?
Well, I've met him recently, but my good friend Jimmy Bell, who will be at the park on June 14th, along with me, he's known Thom for forever.
Okay.
And Thom used to be in charge of the Agora Ballroom in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
So, production manager over there. So. Jimmy being a guitar player, we're all in bands, so, we've all played and went through that room. This is going back to the 80s.
Sure.
So that's how we know Thom.
Awesome. Well, and I understand, too, a few of the I don't know if everybody, but I'm sure a few of the folks and the celebrities that are going to be there on June 14th for the 10th anniversary, I know probably have kind of some connections or UFO experiences, and I know yours stem back to kind of early mid-90s, right? You've been a witness to some things in the past, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So kind of tell us a little bit about that. If you want to start with the first one or anything like that, I'll kind of leave it to you a little bit.
I mean, I could go. I'm going to tell you about the first one.
Sure, okay.
And then we'll leave the rest for the 14th.
Okay.
But the first one, I was, as you know, I'm a musician, so I have my own recording studio.
Awesome, yeah.
So I'm going to try to abbreviate it because I know we don't have a lot of time. So I took a ride up. At the time, I was living in New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay.
So I took a ride up to Springfield. Somebody had a used, we call a mixing desk or a mixing board for a recording studio up in Springfield. So I took a ride up there with a friend of mine to take a look at this thing. And needless to say, I didn't buy it. But on the way back home, I'm coming down 91. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you're familiar with
yeah.
So I'm just outside of Hartford, in, I'd say, the Middletown, Meriden, not quite to Meriden yet, area. And I noticed this little light in the windshield. I'm in the passenger seat, by the way. I wasn't driving. So I'm looking at this light. It caught my attention because it was odd. At first I thought it was a reflection of a light, hitting the windshield, but then it was moving around. I actually turned around to see what was behind me that would cause that reflection, and there was nothing. So I'm looking at this thing for probably about 5 minutes. Finally, I told my buddy, I said, hey, do me a favor. Pull off the highway here. Follow, see that light? Because he sees it. He's like, yeah. So we follow the light. Now we're in a residential neighborhood in Meriden, Connecticut. And we get off the highway, get to this neighborhood, and to my left, there's a house, and this fog-lit, diamond-shaped thing was over the house.
Wow.
And all the lights were blinking on and off. Like it was like a strobe light. You know what a strobe light is?
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of what it looked like. All lights in the house were blinking in unison. In other words, they weren't chasing one another. They were on, off, on, off, on, off.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I'm looking at this thing over the house, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 feet over the house. So now the thing jumps across the street, jumps over our car, now is on the house on the right side of the street. It just worked its way down the street. And we start to take off, and now this thing chases us. And it chases us down this back service road all the way to a mobile gas station, which is right off, I want to say it's exit 16 in Meriden, off of 91. And there must have been about 30 people in that gas station that saw the same thing that we did.
Wow.
But now this thing is hovering over 95. And that part of 95, it's like the road was dug out. So, it's like in a valley, so to speak. So the object was probably, just over the highway lights. I don't know how high it is.
Sure.
Right over the highway lights and just hovering over the highway. Meanwhile, we're in the gas station looking over this. Like 2 days later, I called the police department over there because I just had to know what was that, because I wasn't necessarily thinking, a UFO or I didn't know what it was. I really, frankly, didn't know. So I was just curious. So I called and they said, yeah, we had reports, but, there's no explanation or, they didn't really give any information other than we've had reports. So that's basically my story in an abbreviated.
Sure. And now, as it's hopping back and forth or hopping from one side of the street to the other and kind of moving around, how long would you say that whole sighting and the different spots and everything, how long was that in duration? Was it like 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Did it last a while or?
Yeah, I'd say at least 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay, yeah.
While we were on the street. Now, don't forget, we're in the middle of the street.
Right.
In a residential neighborhood, stopped. Maybe 10 houses.
Yeah.
So, and this thing, would spend 2 minutes over each house.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Sure,
I really don't know how long we were. It wasn't seconds. Once it got to the end of the street, and we're kind of slowly going with it.
Yeah.
So once we got to the last house, we took a left down the service road, which eventually led us to the mobile station, and the thing followed us through the woods. Is up over us, and that was a scary moment. Did
you guys have a car phone, or were you? Was it like an old?
We had a old. You remember the old Sprint PCS phones?
Yeah.
The thing was. It was like Miami Vice, this thing
right.
it looked like the size of 2 bricks.
Wow.
And then, so we had one of those.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is 19 somewhere. In my old age, I can't remember the year. It was between 93 and 97, somewhere in that juncture of time. It's just something that happened.
And again, we're speaking with B.J. Zampa, who's the drummer from Dokken, and he's going to be one of the folks at the UFO Park at the Covered Bridge in Sheffield, the 10-year anniversary celebration on June 14th. Also with us in the studio is Rob Ball, who's putting a lot of this together as well for the 14th, especially locally. B.J., what are you kind of looking forward to in terms of the actual event on the 14th? I mean, I know you're going to be kind of be with a bunch of other people and probably some folks as well, correct?
I look forward to hearing some of the stories.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Tom's story.
Oh, yeah.
Formed this whole thing.
Right,
What this is all about. Yeah. So it'd be kind of cool to actually be there.
Yeah.
And have him explain what he saw while we were there. So I'm kind of looking forward to that and meeting other people and seeing all the people coming out.
Yeah.
Listen, even if UFOs and that sort of thing isn't your thing, it's still a cool event. They're going to have food trucks.
Yeah.
They're going to have all kinds of stuff going on. So, come down and get a taco or get some BBQ, and, we'll hang out and shoot the breeze, so to speak. I encourage everybody to come over. Check it out.
I saw some nice pics on your Facebook page of some Tama drums, too. I like those.
Tama drums?
Yeah. I have at my house. I have a Yamaha recording custom. I always wanted it. Yeah.
So we're a drummer. You're a drummer.
Yeah. But I with this schedule I haven't really played with many people in a while because the 3 a.m. wake up. So, but
I hear you.
Yeah. But I had a couple sets at my house, and one of them is the recording customs. Yeah. So
there used to be a place called the Grotto on Main Street in Pittsfield, Mass. We used to play there in a band called Driver.
Oh, wow, okay.
And, so I have fond memories of Pittsfield, Mass.
Oh, that's awesome, yeah. Great local connection there, yeah.
Any day I could go out and play drums is a good day.
It's a good day, yeah.
So that's just how I look at it.
Right.
So, and Don keeps things fresh. We were doing the Dokken Lynch reunion tour where George would come out and play with us. And so George always likes to change things. So we would learn songs on the spot and just play them that night. So, the repertoire is pretty large. We play whatever Don feels like singing that night, basically.
Yeah. Cool. Well, BJ, anything else you want to pass along to the listeners this morning, about Dokken or your career or even, the UFO event coming up on June 14th in Sheffield?
Well, I look forward to seeing everybody on the 14th, June.
Yeah, in Sheffield.
So I look forward to seeing everybody there.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
All right.
The Thom Reed, the UFO Park at the Covered Bridge in Sheffield. as the UFO Park is celebrating its 10th anniversary this June or this year, and the community event, which is free to the community, is June 14th. There's going to be celebrities, musicians, autographs, food galore. It's going to be a lot of fun to get underway at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And just in case you want to kind of follow along, Berkshire'sUFO.com.
Berkshire'sUFO.com, or they can go to Berkshire County Info Board, or my business page, which is Rolling 20s Productions.
Thought you would set me free. Heaven said, thought it could never be. Heaven said, if I had only seen that you were burning the fire in me. You took my passion, most of my soul, but I will come back, baby, stronger than before. Take my feelings, leave me in pain. I will forget you one of these days. Stop me from feeling this way. Heaven sent, you drive me insane. Hold me, don't let me go. Touch me now and let me know.
Time is 9:33. That's going to wrap up Let's Talk this morning on your hometown station in the Berkshires, WSBS.